Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. So today I'm doing the feeling sentimental tag wherein I show three fragrances and share three of my memories associated with those fragrances. Now I am quite excited to do this tag because in my videos I usually do share my memories associated with my perfumes, but I try to keep it short so as to not digress from the main theme of the videos. But this tag gives me the opportunity to go into more detail. For me personally, all my senses, hearing, smell, taste, sight, touch, all of these bring memories. I don't know, it's just how I am, and I'm sure most of you are like that as well. But there's something about fragrances and smells that just instantly transport you to that memory and you can relive it. And especially if they are pleasant memories, it's always good to have a fragrance that you associate that memory with. So before we start, I would really like you to consider subscribing to my channel. If you like my content, please do like this video. So the first fragrance I want to talk about is Acqua by Giorgio Armani. Now, this reminds me of two memories. So, one is a time when I had this bottle in a miniature, and actually, this is my first time I have got a big bottle of it. So far, I only had it in a miniature bottle that came as part of some other fragrances. All of them were minis. Every time I smell it, I have two places that I can go to. One is, just where I grew up. So at night, we have this flower that blooms. It's called night jasmine, I think. And it has this amazing smell. And it's a very festive time of the year for us because we are celebrating Diwali and the weather started to turn cool. So at least the evenings and nights are very pleasant, very cool. And this fragrance reminds me of that. And it also reminds me of my first trip overseas. This was to Kuala Lumpur. And there it's a very hot and humid climate. And you need something really fresh and minty. And I think it was probably around the time that this fragrance was launched, or maybe 2, 3 years after that, that I happened to visit KL. And I had never seen such big department stores with perfume counters and all the different perfumes and all the different brands and the freedom to spray and sample them. That was the biggest thing for me. And I was like a kid in Disneyland. And so this fragrance reminds me of that. And it reminds me of that so much that when I just spotted it, I just decided to buy it just to relive that memory over and over again. And it's funny because my daughter, when she smelled it, she's like, Mama, it reminds me of KL because we went there a few years back as well. And I think because of the hot and humid climate, they continue to have these fragrances still in circulation over there, unlike over here where it's hard to find. So I'm so happy that it's in my collection now. The next one I want to talk about is Aqua Bouquet numéro 2. Now, this was a fragrance that I bought on the spur of the moment. I think I have talked about this in some of my other videos, but I'm sharing it again. So this I bought during a trip to Paris. And in that trip, our luggage was delayed. We didn't receive it, and I was traveling with my son who was still a baby, and so it was really difficult for us to not have our luggage with us. So the airlines gave us some vouchers, and the first thing we did was to go to Galeries Lafayette, I believe that's what it's called. And I wasn't thinking of getting any perfume, but when I smelled this one and they sprayed it, it was still new and I just had to have it because it just smelled so amazing. And of course I needed perfume and I wouldn't want to be out and about without a perfume in France. So I ended up buying it. And every time I smell it, again, it's like two memories. It's one definitely of the trip because that's what I wore for the entire trip. So I remember being in the museums. I remember being out and about, sitting in cafes and having croque monsieur and all that stuff. So it really brings back a lot of memories of that trip. But it also brings memories of weddings, Indian weddings, because the fragrance, and that's why I liked it and I picked it up immediately, is because the fragrance reminds me of just a bouquet of flowers. And these are the flowers that we use at our weddings. Somehow the smell of tuberose and roses and jasmine, everything put together smells like this. And although it doesn't have any of those notes, the notes it has is lychee, rose, and iris. But for some reason, it does remind me of the flowers we have at the wedding. And it's so much fun. We have lavish feasts. We have beautiful arrangement of flowers and colors. And it's a lovely time. And if it's not your own wedding, then you're definitely having fun. Not, yeah, if it's your own wedding, then you're just too busy smiling at the cameras and tired. But this brings like two memories. So I guess I hope I'm not cheating here. I am sharing two memories with a single fragrance, but well, that's how it is for me. They do remind me of more than one thing. So what can I say? The third one I want to talk about is Bulgari's Eau Parfumée au thé vert. Now, this one reminds me of a time when I was learning French. I was doing my diploma in French, and I used to go to the library and I used to wear this fragrance. Again, I had a miniature of it. I think the two minis may have come in the same box. I don't remember, but this is what I used to wear and I loved it. And each time I wear it, I am thinking of libraries. And it's funny, the library here, the local library that we have, also has the smell right when I enter it. So I don't know what's up with that, but it reminds me of books. It reminds me of music because I used to listen to a lot of French music as well in the library. And one of my favorites is Carla Bruni, and her music is really soothing and very soft. And I always admired her. She was a supermodel, then she became a singer. I don't know if she's probably dabbled with acting as well. And then she became the First Lady of France. So I just love her music, and this fragrance reminds me of her music. And it also reminds me of Axel Red, another French artist whom I really enjoy listening to. And overall, this just reminds me of books and good music. And it used to be quite hot, and going into the library was always nice and refreshing. It was air conditioned, whereas outside it would be like 100 degrees or so. And we used to go to the cafe and have a snack, and it was just a good time of learning and exploring different cultures, different languages, and just different senses, I guess. And I love this one. And the last one, it is more like an honorable mention, I would say, and I just had to share it. And I have talked about this before as well. So, Flower Bomb reminds me of a time when I was in elementary school. A friend of mine used to wear a fragrance which smells like this one smells in the dry down, not the initial blast, but towards the end of the day, when I worn this fragrance, there is this really nice citrusy, warm, spicy scent that's left of this fragrance. And that's what this reminds me of. It reminds me of my friend and how we used to take the school bus together and read school. It reminds me of the trees because her house was in the university campus. And so our school bus used to go through the university campus, and campuses are always green and full of huge, big trees. And the weather was cold, and so her fragrance used to be really nice and warm. And of course, she didn't wear Flower Bomb. It hadn't even been released back then. But the fragrance is very similar to the dry down that I have of this one. So I just had to talk about this and throw it in the mix. So those were my scent memories, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and let me know what perfumes remind you of what major milestone or any event in your life. I would love to hear about that in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.